Okay, so this is for the law enforcement community. Listen to me very well. That law enforcement community should include the JAG office for military prosecution, okay? I want you to all to understand that this is not just a one or two. No, this will be a nationwide law enforcement engagement. And I need for you all to understand at the state and federal level that you will have to work together. Not only will you have to work together, but I need for you to understand that you will need to go through your personnel records before you pick who you want on the task force. And I'm being serious. The reason why your task force were not as successful as they should have been when COVID came around was because you had individuals who were on these task force who were a part of these groups of individuals involved in this child ring for pedophiles and full of pedophiles, okay? When you talk about Epstein, you guys paint him as a monster, when in reality, you shouldn't have. Yes, he was a groomer, okay? But I want you to understand something. And don't get me wrong when I say this, because he is a monster, but at a whole different level, is what I'm telling you. He was needed because he had access in the Hollywood area, okay? And then in the areas of New York, okay? But he also had the property, the land. Remember the land, okay? Those individuals, especially in the political arena that withheld the documents because they were on them, knew damn well that they were on them. And I'd take a look, a long, hard look, really good. And I would have those tapes, quote unquote, of that said incident where he, quote unquote, hung himself. I'd revisit that again. And I would take those tapes to a person who can tell you that those tapes are two different tapes at two different times that have been looped together. And that the missing pieces of those tapes. Just saying. I'm just letting you know some knowledge that you might need to know. I mean, he should still be in prison. He should be in there for the rest of his life instead of in the ground, because I don't think that I didn't think he deserved death, okay? I don't think any of these idiots on here do. But I want you to understand, your secret societies are connected to the largest, most prominent 5 families. When I tell you that, trust me, they are. When I also tell you that those prominent 5 families have a connection to your military, whether it is in the purchasing or the manufacturing of military war machines, weaponry, whatever, as well as connections to your militant and racial groups. These 5 families are all connected in those areas. And you know who I'm talking about when I say that. Rockefeller and all of them, you know what I mean? Okay, so with that being said, you need to take and understand that these individuals that you guys have looked and said, what the hell? How the fuck are they connected to this person? What is the connection here? I can't figure it out. I'm going to give you the answer to that, okay? Yeah, she a nigga. And typical racist, I'm just saying, I'm going to say it, typical true racist groups, true white supremacist groups, you give a fuck who you are. If your ass ain't white and bright, they're not fucking with you. They're not eating your fucking bean cakes. They're not eating none of that shit, okay? If it was made by black, I'm not eating that shit. Get me one of my pure white people to do it. My blonde hair, blue eyed motherfuckers to do it. That's what they tell you. Only in more crucial terms, okay? And you should take heed of this. Those same individuals that I'm discussing have done repeated marches in black influential neighborhoods in Ohio, okay, where these children were just getting out of school. These black children, okay? That same sheriff of that whole area, you were contacted by me, sir. I gave you the names of the individuals connected, all the way down from their height, weight, and everything in their damn shoe size, just by looking at your damn video. You refused to contact me back because, sir, members of those individuals that were on that bridge that day with them AK-47s and their little devil mask, You yourself and other constituents in your sheriff's department are members of that very same group of white supremacists. And to you local white supremacists that are not affiliated with these individuals, let me tell you something. Pay attention to the uniforms, the outfits that they're wearing, because they're trying to paint a narrative. They're trying to paint you guys as the villains, okay, to their so-called plan that they're about to try and carry out, okay? And when I tell you that you got your Canadian Mounted Police involved, you're damn right, okay? You have all branches of law enforcement, all walks of life, okay, that are and have been since these boys were, I would say, no younger than 6, maybe 3, but they had been sexually assaulted by cousin, brother, father, uncle, granddad, okay, out at this camp that sets, it's a cabin, and it sets in the middle, nestled in the middle, surrounding a bunch of damn trees, like greenery, okay? And I'm thinking it's got to be in Oregon, Texas, or Arkansas, but it's deep down up in there. And this cabin has, oh baby, it holds some secrets, okay? I couldn't understand why they were doing this. Well, then it hit me. This dumbass we have call him. I don't call him that, but he's not, cause he's retarded. He's not my president. Okay. I got to looking at the things that he did. Okay. How he got elected the first time. Follow me. He had a problem with women because he, at 5 years old, was sent away to boarding school because mama was done. He had ruined her, damn it, and she was going to get herself together without his ass, and the nannies needed a break too. Okay? You nestled on a couple of those black women's titties, honey, when you were an infant. But it amazes me because you're Austrian and German, truthfully, and you have a hard-on for dictatorship, and you have besties that are dictators. Well, a bestie, because the other one said screw you. Okay? You yourself, sir, because January 6th did happen because of you. In fact, you, sir, have been the main person to sit down with these individuals. How is your connection to them? What in the hell? How the hell would you be connected? Let's just keep it real. Donald Jr. ain't going down for you, honey. You should have seen that at Mar-a-Lago. Okay? But what happened to the poor husband and wife in Minnesota, that was at your directing, sir. Not only that, but there's not no drugs. Listen to me, military personnel, please. There has not been any drugs at all found on those boats. Those boats coming from Venezuela are of the immigrants in which he dropped off in a place that did not and is not their home. Many of them were getting on those boats to come to their own homeland, not to the U.S. Okay? There is not... Cartel members, understand something. I'm not condoning what you do at all. But I want you all to know that it's certain cartel members, cartel groups that are at war with Trump and the military that are only doing their job. Our military is only doing their job. But you're really at war with Trump, okay? And I say this because in the same breath that he said, he painted a narrative of these Hispanic, Asians, so forth, so on, but he didn't paint the narrative towards the immigration of the Caucasian, because we have all walks of life here. His grandparents, his parents, all came through Ellis Island, okay? He doesn't tell you that he staffs merely undocumented immigrants of the Hispanic descent. Okay? He doesn't tell you that he has had love children that were suddenly gone. Mama's paid off. His dirty little secrets will come to light. Okay? There's something you all need to know. The African American lady that stood up at the podium that day when Biden was still in office, and she said, "We may not know your names, but we have your faces, and we will get you. You will be arrested. You will pay for what you did." Sweetheart, and for all the other African Americans within the United States government currently, don't go outside by yourselves. Hold your kids close. Carry a gun. Carry some type of weapon. Keep a bulletproof vest on. Okay? I say that because I'm going to tell you, these individuals did what they did to get him in office, especially in the black communities, because he knew he couldn't win them, okay? That pastor in Texas, who really, in my eyes, isn't a pastor because he teaches hate-filled bullshit, you already know you're marked, right? You know you're not going to heaven, right? You know that, right? You're not innocent, sir, because you're complacent, but you're also a participant, okay? Your hate-filled teachings of the Bible is a joke, and you're gonna reap what you sow, sir. And it's sad because these same individuals, okay, are influencers, but they don't come off as influencers who are racist, now do they? Hell, some of them have even sat here and talked about how heinous of the crimes and shit it was for these assholes down in certain parts of Alabama and Mississippi, them good old boy areas. You've intentionally hung innocent people and made it look like they did it themselves. Well, baby, let me tell you something. I'm a reckoning for you. I know your guilt. I'm going to air your asses out. So I'm telling you right now, your law enforcement officers have been including, the corruption is so deep and so vast and at astronomical levels of rank, okay? Like I said, it's going to be a nationwide thing. And I want you to understand that those who have been incarcerated for heinous crimes such as rapes and murders, not all of them are guilty. The judicial system used to set on the principle that they'd rather set one guilty person free than 12 guilty people free than to see one innocent man get locked up for something he hasn't done. And I did not just say at a state level. I said at an astronomical level in the United States judicial system, there are innocent lives that influence, power, and money has paid for their incarceration because they refuse to put their own who are guilty of these crimes against the innocence of Asians, blacks, Hispanics, Caucasians, murders, rapes, okay? They would like for you to believe that there is African Americans have a higher rate of these things. That's not true. Majority of your serial killers, except for a select few, are Caucasian, are middle-aged, have families, come from really good homes. Check it out some more. Because that really good home shit, that's a joke. Because I believe it was Bundy who said, we are your neighbors. We are your teachers. We are, you understand? He let you all know who they are. Each and every person within that list that I've given you, okay, are members of this group. They are all, I can guarantee you, if a psychologist was to do a freaking scan of these people, they would find all the same traits. They would have all the same attributes as known serial killers. And those dumb African Americans and those dumbass Hispanics that are involved, and those dumbass Asians that are involved with them, whether it be your husbands, whether it be boyfriends, whether it be your wives, understand something. You will end up disappearing, and nothing will be done. Nothing will be done to you. Nothing. See, the thing was this. They hated me from the word go. Their kids, which would include Michael, were raised to be hated towards certain types of people. Oregon is known for racism, white supremacists. Heavy, especially in Yam County, okay? Canada, another one. You guys are racist out there too. But I'm going to put you up on game too, okay? You have every right to be angry with that president. You have every right not to want to participate with him in anything. And then you have every right to have ended whatever deals you guys were thinking about coming to. But you need to search in your own backyard, because some of your Canadian citizens, as well as your law enforcement officers, including mounted police, are highly ranking racist in white supremacist groups and in your military. Not only that, but majority of these members either patrol, stand guard, or are assigned in some way, somehow, to protecting, working on, or whatever, the grid. If you notice, that is what they keep talking about. That has been the heaviest thing on this list, was the grid. You knock out the grid, and it's goodbye for a long time, because it's going to take forever for it to get back up and running. And Donald Trump has been known to sit here and say, it's ancient, it's all these millions of years old. You know he's slow. But anyway, he did have some know-how, a little bit, okay? It might need to be put more up to par, true enough. But if you knock out the grid, it ain't shit to hit a couple jewelry stores, a couple banks, to purge African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians. Those three groups, whether any of you other nationalities I just named here, Asians, African Americans, and Hispanics, whether you like it or not, we're all connected. You guys didn't get your civil rights until we did. So in the eyes of them, you ain't no better. You another nigga. Okay? You have had these individuals who have, like I said, their children have been involved. And their children's job was, when they hit a certain age, was to start recruiting. When you start recruiting, you join the military. In fact, one of those said members have killed 2 African Americans. And right next to the 82nd Airborne Division. That night, I should have been killed myself. I don't know. But I know I came out that door right behind those 2 people. They turned, I went straight. When I seen the individual's face on the TV, I about crapped my pants, because that individual that took those 2 innocent lives was a roommate of Michael Gideon's. You know how I know this? Because he was cool acting at first, but I noticed the spider web on his elbow. In fact, I got locked in the barracks one night, and the next day was a Monday, and they all had to get up, and we overslept. Me, Michael, and the rest of the other 2 guys, because we had stayed up pretty late. And you know what happened? I got stuck there. I had to hide under the bed and everything, because they had inspections. I don't know how the hell they did not see me. Okay? At the end of the day, it's like this. That individual was just a small, minute piece of that pie. When Michael traveled with Copa Burst to Africa, to Tibet, to Siberia, to Louisiana, to get readings on me, they were all told the same thing. They didn't want to listen. They took a secret trip. In fact, Michael was part of that secret trip. And there's something within the legal realm that is currently trying to be passed off that he was not there. Yes, sir, he was there. I even have text messages between the both of us at the time that he was there, and he admitted to being there. In fact, one night back in August, I believe, the very first part of August, he had reached out to me. And I have copies, and I've given those copies to the U.S. Attorney Olson. And he wanted to come home to me then. And the funny thing, I was half asleep. So when I was talking to him, look, I was almost knocked out, okay? I know for a fact, I walk with God, heavy. We trust me, we heavy, okay? So I know it was him who was actually making sure I paid attention, okay? Because let me tell you why. You know, they say the devil can't come into your home unless you welcome him, right? Michael had the opportunity, he felt, to contact me. I'm telling you. And he said, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm sleeping. What do you want? And he goes, if I come over, will you let me in? If I come over, will you let me in? If I come to your house, will you let me in? I said, what? What are you talking about? I was half asleep. I could have foolishly told this asshole yes. But that's when God woke me up. I said, hell no, you can't come over. What the fuck you mean? And he's like, oh, so you got some guy there? I've never been a person to sleep around. That's what Copa Burst and her daughter Unique do. That is what they do for a living, okay? They sell themselves, okay? These individuals have been in multiple states, including Mexico. I have the communications logs as well as the messages, and I handed them over to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Olson has them. The United States Postal Service Inspector's Office had reached out to me. And this is how much these idiots think that they get over on people, okay? They sent a individual by the name of Jason Akers to talk to me on the phone. He never wanted to disclose his phone number, which was funny to me, but I could not let go of the fact that I knew the name. Well, me being me, okay? I did my little Inspector Gadget investigation, and lo and behold, I let him know. I said, I thought I knew you. I thought I knew your name. I said, of course you're not going to find anything, asshole, because you're connected to him. You're part of it. Okay, so understand when I tell you this. Those people in those boats in Venezuela had no drugs on them. Those drugs were stolen after. Trump knows about it. Venezuela, pay attention to what happened with the military, okay? I've had the same dream. My father's had the same dream I've had. When he leaves office, he will be charged with more than 80 counts of murder, okay? And so will J.D. Vance, okay? These individuals are connected directly to these boys because nobody heard about no damn J.D. Vance. Nobody really heard about him. And then all of a sudden, you come out of nowhere and you jump into the ring and take over the Senate seat of the longest running senator in the state of Ohio, which was none other than who? Senator Stokes. And you just so happen to get his seat, and then I'll be damned, you just so happen to be elected as his top choice for vice president? Nah, nigga, it don't work like that. It don't work like that, baby. And then I got to thinking, that was funny because your wife, is from Dubai, I believe, right? And you aren't Indian at all. And it's funny because, not as funny as a haha, but that's highly unheard of for them to marry outside of their race and their religion, because those marriages, these women, when they were pregnant, their families had promised their daughters and their sons to marry these people of the other family. There's a dowry that's paid. So I'm confused as to how the hell did you get her and her family's accepted you? And then the really suspicious thing too is that you're the last one to see the Pope, and he's dead after that? I'll be damned. Pay attention to your biblical premonitions, because your Bible will tell you a lot. Pay attention to the sky, because those who pay attention to the sky will always know when God's arrival is on his way. Not only that, but law enforcement. You have two places you need to go. You have individuals you need to discuss. And I wouldn't go to certain... I would go to those higher ups that I knew were on the same side as me. That I knew that if I went to them, the shit would get done. I would not go to those higher ups who you knew would stonewall you, would put you off, would hold shit back from you, or would tell you, I don't think that we need to look into that. Because there's been some that's been told to y'all. But I would also go back and I would look at the cases in which have been tried by the U.S. Attorney's Office that has connected these individuals in Florida, okay? And I say this because I'm just fucking confused as to how the hell you guys overlooked the victims that you overlooked. And not only that, why the hell haven't you gotten warrants for the platforms of LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and looked at those logs? And I'm talking about the last 20 years. I look at those logs, and you'd be surprised what jumps out at you. Because if it were me and my career was riding on it, this shit can make or break my career. And I had kids that were going to grow up in this world, and the deaths of certain federal judges has been done, I would look a lot harder. I'm dead serious. Because those that you have, some, not all, that you have as the perpetrator to these crimes, they're not all perpetrators at all. You'd be surprised to know that a couple of those bailiffs weren't as innocent as they said they were. They didn't do their job the way they should have. And some of that detail that was supposed to protect certain Chicago federal judges, I would look into these cases. And I would look into these cases thoroughly, because they're all going to connect you back to the same people. And these same people will lead you to where they have these children. Okay? When it comes to Stephanie Timms, I would also go to her parents' home that is on College in Des Moines, Iowa. You'd have to do the records to find out the address. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it was on College. It sits kind of on a hill, and back then it was green. It was two-tone green. I don't know what it is now. It was left to her by her family. Of course, the dope man got that because she smokes crack. Anyway, I would look in her backyard. I would also contact the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and I would have him start looking into the backyards of that rich man and other members. Charlotte State Police Department also need to look into the backyards of said family members related to me on both sides, okay? Fayetteville, same thing. I would look into the deaths of Ethel, and I would look into the deaths of Raymond Tucker, and a couple others. I would also, Fort Bragg. When I lived in Fort Bragg, well, in Fayetteville, I went to Fort Bragg a lot. Like I said, I dated Michael, okay? There were several young women, and those cases were never solved. You had one member in that 82nd Airborne Division that was responsible for those girls' deaths, and he got away with it, and is still doing the same thing because of his high-ranking status connection, okay? You also have, in Texas, that said individual that has the Houston part of Texas scared to death. He hasn't been caught because he's being informed and told nothing will happen to him because he's connected to these same individuals, okay? Iowa, your connection is you have judges, chief justices on both the Iowa Supreme Court and the Polk County courts, okay? You need, investigations need to happen now. You have certain members of your law enforcement officers in the detectives area, extremely detectives, okay? You need to start looking at Corsanza, Davis, and Gross, and there's several others. Those three, you find out who hangs out with them the most, you'll find your corrupt apples, including your higher-ups, okay? So Paul Prezek, do your job, okay? This is for you, bud. You have, on your, I want to say your Attorney General's office, I do some digging in there too. In your Polk County courts, Polk County Attorney Kim Gare, I think it was. Anyway, you need to look into her people too. A lot of those new judges that came in became judges because of cases, especially cases handling children. And there was a judge that passed away who was the most awesome judge in the world when it came to children. He gave a whole new perspective that should have been followed. And Brett Pattinson could not, in nobody's good sense of mind, been his protege, because his connection to Utah and the polygamists in Utah, including child, rapers, need to be looked into. I can give you that for now, but I will tell you that what I've told you so far will connect you to your ring. In the FBI, you have Laura Roberson Burke, and you have a FBI agent by the name of Matt. He is out in California, I do believe. You also, he's blonde-haired. He's with military still, too. You also have Deborah Myers. She's now in Iowa. And her partner. Look into them. You'll see the connections. And when I tell you, they have defrauded and been active participants within the defrauding of the United States government at levels that are astronomical. It will baffle you. The cases that she worked with your 5 task force in Florida at that time, the reason why you got those individuals is because every night at the end of work, they would all get together. And the list of individuals that people need to go after, or the calls that you got, that came in, those calls were pre-ranged. You got those individuals because they got word about this big ass heist that was going to be done, and it would have been too confusing. They couldn't hold it down. They couldn't keep a lid on it with all these people that were getting involved. So let's just say they were extras that somebody had to take the call. Okay? And you might want to look into the death of Donald R. Fuller out of Fresno, California. His wife is Vandesta T. Fuller. Her and her kids are directly involved as well. In fact, the house that he owns, the homes that they owned in Fresno and Van Nuys, California, I would look in those backyards as well. You'd be surprised at what you find. You have, out of Fort Sam Houston, you have, in California, you have a Gregory Gonzalez, United States Air Force. In Florida, you have a female officer. I have her phone number. I will find it. If you guys contact me, I'll give you that information. But I would look into it. I would look into it. Okay? And you'd see your connections as well.
Would you move?
Till later. Bye.